Welcome into Bengals Breakdown, presented by Prize Picks. Today is a mailbag day. That means hearing from you, Who Dey Nation. We want to get your questions. We posed it just the other day. Let us know what's on your mind. Today we are reacting and discussing here on the show. And if you're excited about this, if you didn't see the post, if you want more mailbag videos from us here on Bengals Breakdown, of course, subscribing is a good thing to do, but we told the bosses we'll get more shares, and then we'll do more mailbag videos. So be sure to share the video today with a friend. All you have to do is text it to them. Let's do that right now so we can do more mailbag videos. All right, first question comes in from Caitlin. What matchup are you most excited for? Yes, we just got past the schedule release, schedule leaks, schedule predictions, record predictions here on Bengals Breakdown. No doubt about it. Easy pick for me on the matchup I am most excited for. Week 10, Sunday night football between the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Cincinnati Bengals. I am pumped for that one. I was already pumped for that one. And then we get the news yesterday. Rodgers is back. Aaron Rodgers will return to the Pittsburgh Steelers for the 2026 NFL season, making just about $25 million to come back and play next year. I had a lot of fun with this little rivalry, this Rodgers versus the Bengals. It was like the old man bowl between Flacco and Rodgers. Is the icy hot bowl they kept calling it. And Rodgers, he was fun and good against the Bengals. We split the series last year, so that was interesting. He did get injured in week 11, so he left a good chunk of that one, didn't do as much, but that one's going to be super interesting. That one is going to be super fun. Rodgers is just like a big name, a gigantic name in all this. I think it's great to have him in the division. It's fun to have him in the division. And I don't necessarily fear him like he's just going to destroy us in that sort of way. I know it's going to be a good game. Plus, if you don't recall, we did not get Burrow versus Rodgers. Yeah, they were both Flacco games. So it would be fun to watch Joe Burrow go against Aaron Rodgers, as we love the, Burrow Mahomes, Burrow Lamar Jackson, Burrow Rodgers would be a really fun game in general. So week 10, Sunday night football, it is in Cincinnati too. That's the other part of it. That'll be in Cincy, so that one will be fun to watch in general. My next question for you guys, will you be attending a Bengals game in 2026? Tickets are out there. We showed you some stuff the other day with the schedules and things like that. Is there a game you have circled you'll be going to? Type Y for yes. If yes, let us know which game. If N for no, go ahead and sound off on why not. And then again, the AFC North, looking ahead at what we kind of looked at last season. Rodgers and company made the playoffs. If you remember, it came down to Baltimore and Pittsburgh in that final regular season game. It was, I think, a missed field goal by Baltimore that sent the Steelers to the playoffs. Bengals, they were competitive throughout the year. They never really made up enough ground, a good amount of ground to actually get there, but they stayed competitive. And again, I always hit on at least you're competitive. I know you have bigger aspirations this year, but that's where they were at. And the Browns, I predict the Browns will be right where they were and or worse next season at 5-12. Our next question comes in from Jeffrey Henderson. Jeffrey asks, will Burrow, Joe Burrow, Joey B, survive the entire season healthy and able to contribute? You may say to yourself, why is Jeffrey asking this? Come on, Jeffrey, negative vibes. He has a good reason to ask. Joe Burrow has a tough injury history, really since 2020 now. You're getting a injury that's costing you so many, not necessarily the whole season all the time, but we do hear the stories of he's grinding through this, he's grinding through that. Some injuries are costing him games, right? The torn wrist was a tough one. Turf toe, which is like a goofy name, however, but cost him a ton of games. The ACL was tough to come back from. Even the finger, you can play through the finger, but it's like holding you back a certain way. So Jeffrey asks if Joe Burrow will be healthy throughout next season. Valid question to ask, Jeffrey. We're going to get into that in just a second, but first, today's show is presented by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports picks app. I like talking to you guys about the lineups because they are super easy to put together. You just pick more or less on a few player stats, lock in your lineup. Big thing right now, the basketball playoffs are going on. They won't be going on much longer. You guys got to take advantage of the ability to win cash while watching sports during the basketball playoffs. A lineup for you guys to check out. Asor Thompson, we're going more on the 2.5 blocks and steals. Dude has been a terror on defense in this series. Cade Cunningham, that is a max discount right there. You're reading that right. More on a half point for Cade Cunningham. That's why it's a max discount. And then Spida, Donovan Mitchell, Game 7, more on field goals made at 8.5. You'll get the 2s and 3s on that one. Just got to make it happen. Such a big game for Donovan Mitchell. Got to feel like he'll be taking most of the shots. Again, hoops playoffs going on. If you're a baseball person, those are going on daily too, so you can do strikeouts, home runs, hits, all that going on with those lineups. And with the new social feeds feature, you can share prize picks with your friends and copy lineups with a single click. That's right. That includes me and producer Aiden Parise. You follow us on Prize Picks, tailor fade our picks, and get them before we even post them here on the show at Billy_Beebe at CSAP. Be sure to give us a follow there. We have a new user offer. If you don't have the app, download the Prize Picks app today with the link in the comments and description. Then use code HMA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code HMA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. When it comes to Joe Burrow's health in 2026, we're going to go through a couple things that could make or break it for him, some things that he could do to make sure it's all good. Number one, yes, the offensive line. That is such a big deal. Offensive line has to be good. Offensive line has to be stable. I understand that discussion point. I understand the idea it kind of starts up front, and we have had bad years with the offensive line and Joe Burrow in general. However, I think this is a solid group. I've hit on the fact I like the continuity. He's got the same offensive line back for the first time in his career in back-to-back years. I don't think offensive line is going to be a major weakness in causing that many issues for Joe Burrow in the upcoming year. So, yes, you got to watch the offense line. You need to make adjustments if needed. I don't know that that's going to be like the end-all, be-all or reason that he possibly gets hurt or they need to watch it. The number two reason, and this may be my number one thing for him to pay attention to and adapt to and make happen for himself, you have to limit the hero ball. The injury last year with the turf toe, some say, there's videos where some say it's the offense line, right? He was under pressure, so on and so forth. Some say he's just running around in the pocket, looking for something over and over, time and time again, trying to make the biggest throw possible when what Joe Burrow needs to do is run the offense, make it efficient, make plays happen at a high level. I think improved efficiency overall for Joe Burrow, getting the ball out quickly, timely passes, making sure you know what the defense is going to do so you know how much time you have instead of running in circles and taking late hits. I think it could help limit the hits on Joe Burrow. Again, that all depends on what you're trying to do against what team when, but I do think it's worth noting if you limit the hero ball, could limit the hits as well. The other option, keeping Joe Burrow healthy, talking about what the Bengals may want to do going into the year, take the pressure off him. Right? It's a lot of the comments we saw actually were like, we're going to be a pass defense or a run defense. And you could be a offense. You could be a run offense if you want. Maybe not all the way, maybe not most of the time. Obviously, you have really great receiving threats. But if you want to go more Chase Brown, could take the pressure off Joe Burrow a little bit. Heck, could take the pressure off Jamar and T a little bit in general. Just using Chase Brown more, little more Chase Brown. That's less time, Burrow's being chased around, Burrow's being gone after. And look, we kind of like what Chase Brown has done lately. I feel like he's been a good running back. He wants an extension. You're coming up on a contract year for him. You would think it's going to be a big year for Chase Brown. He's a receiving threat, so yeah, that can be the point there. But he also can run the ball very, very well. I have a lot of faith in Chase Brown. And again, I put a lot of stock in the fact that this is a contract year for him. Not that these guys always just do better when money's on the line, but hey, who wouldn't do better when money is on the line with Chase Brown? So an option for keeping Burrow healthy as well, a little more for Chase Brown. Question for you guys, predict it. How many games will Joe Burrow play in 2026? They'd like to have him for as many as possible, right? Difference-making games, all that. Give me a number. How many games will Joe Burrow play in 2026? A name that floated over and over and over again in the mailbag questions, YouTube comments. Why isn't Bobby Wagner on the Bengals yet? First comment, shout out to you, Crayley, there. Same thing from JW10, kind of saying, look, if we're all in this season, still building the defense up, trying to make it as good as possible, he says Bobby Wagner is a name that he would like to see on the Cincinnati Bengals. Talking with Tom Downey, our guy here at Chat Sports earlier today, and like, what's the deal with Wagner, you think? Why isn't this guy signed? Bengals are kind of floating him, and he's like, yeah, dude's old. He's old at this point in time. He's played a lot of football, does a great job setting the run, but he has a serious problem in coverage. He's not a good coverage linebacker anymore. That is basically the deal. He's older. He's good at one thing, setting the run. It is a veteran presence. It is a guy that probably can still play a little bit, probably still make a difference a little bit, and it's a name we definitely see you Bengals fans. You guys are interested in Bobby Wagner being a Bengal in general. Here's where I kind of sit with Bobby Wagner. At this point in time, the Bengals have about $7 million in cap space, which is not much. That's the lower end of the NFL. I believe it's about 27th, 28th at this point in time. You want to make your last move or that move that takes you close to nothing, Bobby Wagner. That's what you really have to ask yourself, right? And yes, you absolutely could do a Burrow restructure. I'm sure there's another spot where you could restructure. I just don't know that the last chip left to play for Cincinnati is Bobby Wagner. And that's kind of where they are with their money, by the way. They're on their last chip. DeAndre Hopkins, another name mentioned heavily by the Who Dey faithful. I know you guys are interested in him. I'm interested in him. I think he could give you a little extra in that receiving room. But again, you're kind of on your last chip here, free agency-wise. You're not a team like the Colts. Colts have $20-something million. They can snag one more person and roll some money over. Bengals literally may have to save their money in case something happens at any point during the year. So I'm not sure Bobby Wagner is the way they'll go with that money. Last question of the day from Mike. Mike, thank you for commenting on the post. If we have another slow start to the season, ask ownership, why does Zac Taylor still have a job? Firing Zac Taylor is a very fun thing for you guys. I know it's like a crash out button immediately. It's just fire Zac Taylor, which I respect. I really do. And boy, you talk about ups and downs. Really got there and then has really come back down to earth over the past few years. And look, this is as make or break for Zac Taylor as it is for a lot of people in the organization, a lot of players within the organization, possibly front office. I'm still of the thought that this ownership group, how the Bengals are run, how the Bengals operate, they're just not going to make the panic fire, the quick fire. They may not fire Zac Taylor at all next season, no matter what happens. They may give him another year if they go 6-11 again. That's very possible. Even with a disastrous start to this season, which is, by the way, that's the only way I see Zac Taylor being fired, is a disastrous start. Not a slow start mentioned by Mike, a disastrous start. My immediate thought with firing coaches during the season is always who takes over, do they help you accomplish your goals? So you fire Zac Taylor, is that because season's cooked and you're so upset about it, he's out, or is that we need to right the ship? If you need to right the ship, who is taking over at that point in time? Are you comfortable with Al Golden being your head coach, Dan Pitcher being your head coach? Sometimes it's an assistant. I know Dan Campbell took over for the Dolphins at one point as a tight ends coach. So that's definitely we'll see what happens there with Zac Taylor. I still believe this ownership group going to give him at least all of next season in general, but we will see. I talked about the crash out button. Why not? I'll offer you guys the same thing here. If you want to get it out of your system and fire Zac Taylor before the season even starts, go ahead and hit that like button and we'll know what you're talking about.